Hello there guys, Teacher Krishna here, and welcome to our next class for the third unit. This is a class that is part of Big House School, 7th High School, and BYS. Our subject is science, and we are working on week number 25 today. So let's go over our presentation. Remember to have your notebook with you in order to make today's summary, alright? And just to refresh your mind, we are going to be working on the same parts in the summary. We are going to have date, our ending mind, title, the summary itself, and some additional decoration to it, all right? Then we have our ending mind. The students will be able to describe how to monitor earthquakes, which is a pretty interesting topic for today. Okay. And let me give you a summary of the activities that you need to complete. Number 1, watch this video and make a summary, of course. Number 2, read lesson number 3, pages 118 to 123, and complement your summary, all right? Once you are done with that, complete the exercises from lesson number 3. Then number 4, participate in the Zoom session. So it is very important that you participate in the Zoom session because today we're modifying a little bit the activities because originally we were going to finish lesson number 3 last week. But since that couldn't happen and since there were some things that were changed, then we are going to finish lesson number 3 today. So make sure you finish your summary and your books exercises before the Zoom session, all right? In the Zoom session, we are going to complete a section of the review and assessment. That is going to be the activity that you need to complete today. So after you finish that, you have to complete the quizzes as homework. So I'm going to share a link with you during the session about a game that is posted in quizzes. So basically you have to complete it, and when you are done, you have to upload a screenshot to Educativa. So in Educativa, I will check your grade, and of course, I will assign you some points. But I will give you more information about it during the Zoom session. So it is very important that you are there today. All right, so now let's go over monitoring earthquakes. So how do geologists are going to monitor and study earthquakes? So it says seismic waves cause a simple seismograph drum to vibrate to the pen. It records the vibrations. All right, so and what you can see right over here is a seismograph. And just like you can notice right here, there is a kind of pen, and of course we have like a base right over here with some paper. So basically, this is going to start to vibrate, and depending on how much it has moved, then of course the information that will be interpreted from the information from the paper that we have right over here. In the seismograph, the pen stays still and the paper moves. This is something very important because people might think that what actually moves is the pen, but in reality, it's not like that. What actually moves is the base, so the paper is what's going to move. And of course, the pen is just going to paint on the paper. P waves, S waves, and surface waves are perceived. So I'm going to show you a picture in a little while. But basically what happens is that geologists have learned how to study and how to identify each one of the waves that have been written down in the paper of the seismograph. And after the earthquake, the date can be interpreted as well. So I will say the data, I'm sorry, there should be an A right over here. So depending on how much it has moved and depending on the seismic waves, of course, then geologists are going to say, oh, the magnitude of this earthquake was of 7 or 8, for example. Here you have an example of what the seismic waves actually look like. So just like you can notice right over here, we have an example of P waves, and we have a little interval in between the S waves and P waves, just like you can notice. And then we have the S waves that are a little bit different than the P waves, and later on we have the surface waves. You can notice that there is a difference between each one of them. So at first, the P waves are like a little bit bigger than the S waves. S waves are a little bit smaller, and surface waves are way larger than the other two. Okay. So now we have what patterns the seismographic data reveal. So geologists can determine where the earthquake took place. That is something very important to notice. And just like we studied before, remember that we have data from, well, we need data from at least 3 different seismographs in order to pinpoint where the earthquake happened. Then they can show where the earthquake are more likely to happen. So right over here we have a small map, and just like you can notice, there are different lines around. So basically these lines are where 2 tectonic plates are going to meet. And of course, right in the middle of those tectonic plates, earthquakes are more likely to happen. And they usually happen in plate bands where 2 plates meet. And here we have some examples of what can actually happen in North America. So the most vulnerable states in the United States will be California, Washington, and Alaska, because there are some boundaries that are actually passing by those places. But now my question is, can you spot Guatemala right over here in this map? Well, let me help you out, and you will find it right over here in Central America, of course. And just like you can notice, we have a boundary that is going right in the middle of Guatemala. So we're going to say that our country is a very seismic place, let's say, because since it is located right at the top of a plate boundary, then a lot of earthquakes can happen right here. So probably you might remember that a couple of years ago there were almost 1 earthquake every year, but it's because of the same thing, that there is the location of our country. Okay, so there you go. It was a pretty quick topic. It was pretty short to explain, but of course, just like always, make sure to go back to the activities section. And of course, you can check right over there everything you have to complete today. And remember that it's very important that you attend the Zoom session, because I will give more information, links, and everything in there. So it's been great to see you around, guys. I will see you in a couple of minutes. Goodbye.